The abstract for this project: energy use is constantly expanding rapidly, yet energy supplies are limited. The majority of the energy sources we consume today are natural energy sources such as coal, petroleum, and other energy sources. If the pace of consumption is not managed, these sources of energy will be drained in the future as well. Finding or developing alternative renewable energy sources is one of the alternatives to the current energy sources crisis. So piezoelectric is one of the renewable energy sources that can be utilized in the future. The purpose of this project is to investigate the idea of piezoelectric energy and to create sustainable power by capturing the kinetic energy or vibration of car on the road using piezoelectric materials in the pavement. An experiment relative to this piezoelectric was conducted to validate the hypothesis that has been expressed to determine whether this theory can be achieved. We use piezo components, capacitor, LED light switch, wires, breadboard, diodes, breadboards, jumper wire, and the multimeter in this project. The abstract for this project: energy use is constantly expanding rapidly, yet energy supplies are limited. The majority of the energy sources we consume today are natural energy sources such as coal, petroleum, and other energy sources. If the pace of consumption is not managed, these sources of energy will be drained in the future as well. Finding or developing alternative renewable energy sources is one of the alternatives to the current energy sources crisis. So piezoelectric is one of the renewable energy sources that can be utilized in the future. The purpose of this project is to investigate the idea of piezoelectric energy and to create sustainable power by capturing the kinetic energy or vibration of car on the road using piezoelectric materials in the pavement. An experiment relative to this piezoelectric was conducted to validate the hypothesis that has been expressed to determine whether this theory can be achieved. We use piezo components, capacitor, LED light switch, wires, breadboard, diodes, breadboards, jumper wire, and the multimeter in this project. Starting with making a diode rectifier bridge on the breadboard, then the piezo element and LED lights were connected to the breadboard. Then the circuit was tested. The finding for this experiment is the larger the capacitor, the brighter the flash of light produced. Larger capacitors do take a long time to charge them than others. As a result, the piezoelectric idea can generate electrical energy. Using waste energy from walking can help us utilize energy more efficiently in our daily life.
Assalamualaikum and good evening. We are from Group 5, comprised of Muhammad Haziq Imran bin Azmir as a leader, followed by Muhammad Hafizuddin bin Anwar, Amir bin Iqbal bin Shahriman, and Muhammad Aidil Shah bin Muhammad Shah. We are going to present our paper titled Implementation of Piezoelectric to Generate Electricity for Street Light. This paper regarding the implementation of piezoelectric to generate electricity for street light due to the problem that natural sources which someday can be exhausted. The objective of writing this paper is to study the concept of piezoelectric energy and to generate sustainable electricity by harvesting the kinetic energy of vehicles on the roads using piezoelectric material in the pavement. The scope of this paper is using piezoelectric to generate light strip only. In the process of preparing this paper, we have made reference to a journal authored by Nayan HR titled Power Generation Using Piezoelectric Material. Generally, this journal has highlighted about the problem of generating energy using exhausted materials such as petroleum, coal, and other mineral resources. The author in this journal has proposed the usage of piezoelectric as a new source to generate electricity. The method that has been used in this paper is conducting the experiment. This experiment, which used the amount of step at piezo element as manipulated variable, and the duration of the LED light as the responding variable. Based on the experiment, we can see that as the amount of vibration or the amount of step increases, the duration of the LED light will increase. I will pass the presentation to my fellow member Amin dan Iqbal.
Then we move to the next part of this final project, which is about literature review. We studied a journal called Power Generation Using Piezoelectric Material, which was authored by Nayan HR from American International University in Dhaka, Bangladesh, and it was related to our topic, which is about piezoelectric materials. This journal described various challenges related to energy generation that exist all over the world, particularly in Bangladesh, which is experiencing one of the most serious crises. Natural resources used by people such as petroleum, coal and other mineral resources will eventually be exhausted. As a result, it is critical that humans need to develop technologies to utilize renewable energy resources. There will be no issue with running out of energy resources using this type of energy in future. Renewable energy is a green energy sources that is both safe to us and does not affect the environment. The renewable energy sources discussed in this journal is piezoelectric materials energy, which is produced from the pressure and vibration. Because the power output of this technology is insufficient to run high consumption technology, piezoelectric components as energy harvester are best suited for low frequency conditions. Piezoelectric material can generate electrical energy when activated mechanically by pressure or vibration. Piezoelectric materials are part of a larger group of materials known as ferroelectrics. A ferroelectric substance molecular structure is oriented in such a way that the material is shown in a local charge separation known as electric dipole. Nowadays, the technology of generating electricity via piezoelectric energy has gotten a lot of interest from researchers. One of the most fascinating things about piezoelectricity is that it is reversible with a direct piezoelectric effect, which is electric energy formed from stress, and reverse piezoelectric effect, which is generation of stress from electrical energy. The direct piezoelectric effect is in charge of the material capacity to serve as a sensor, while reverse piezoelectric effects in charge of its ability to perform as an actuator. Based on this journal, they conducted experiment by constructing piezoelectric sensors to test whether electrical energy could be generated by mechanical pressure. One of the reasons is that many people in Bangladesh use walking as their primary mode of transportation while traveling or moving from one location to another. Because of these easy sources of pressure and vibration that can be produced by walking, it makes it easier for them to create energy using the idea of piezoelectric material. Energy harvesting from mechanical stress created in the form of compressive force in the soil when people walk over the floor is one of the sustainable ways to producing microelectrical energy.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. So I will be explaining on methodology. So first, as we see on the slide, firstly I'm going to explain what is piezoelectric, analysis of the experiment, data graph, and comparisons of the result. Without further ado, let's. So first and foremost, what is piezoelectric sensor? Okay, as stated, comprising piezoelectric material produce electricity, which is also known as piezoelectrics. Okay, piezo produce electricity. So figure 1 here explains the concept. Okay, as you can see here, there are two metal plates, which when they have when they touch with vibration or with force, it will produce voltage. okay, it will produce current lah. Okay, so piezoelectric material, which is non-conductive piezoelectric ceramic or crystal, is placed between the two metals, okay, positive and negative here. For piezoelectrics to be generated, it needs that material to be compressed or squeezed or any sorts of vibration or force. Okay, mechanical stress applied to piezoelectric ceramics material generates electricity. Okay. Okay, so our main objective of this mini project is to utilize waste energy, specifically on the road or on the streets. So therefore, our mini project would like to implement piezoelectric to road pavement and traffic loads. So therefore, road pavement must be consist of 3 minimum layers of hot mix alpha, which is wearing, binder and base. So as you can see here, both environmental and traffic conditions were considered, taking into account in the influence of the seasonal temperature and the different traffic loads of the axle configuration. What it means here, as the increases of roads or as the increase of vibrations during busy hours, it increases the uh, what do we call, it increases the electric supply of for the piezoelectric. Okay, okay, to symbolize our mini project video, we have done a laboratory experiment to symbolize our piezoelectric experiment. So our method would include the simple experiment, which is the steps that I'm gonna explain here. So the first step is to make a diode rectifier bridge on the breadboard. As you can see here, this is the breadboard, and then insert the wire further from the back strip and diode into socket 1A, 1B, 5C and 6A, like the diagram below. Okay. Okay, so thirdly, connect the physio element, which is the physio sensor itself, to the breadboard by inserting LED into 5E and the red into the 6E. Fourth, connect the LED bar by inserting the positive LED and into 11E and the negative LED into 1E. Okay, so fifth, strips 1.5 inch from two wire, solder the ends to the LEDs of the switch. Okay, number 6, okay, hook up the capacitor by putting the positive and LED into 11E and the negative LED into 11H. The breadboard should be looking like this. Okay, as I mentioned here, as far as it should be looking like this lah. Okay. Okay, 7. Use the breadboard jumper wire to connect sockets 11J and 5J, and then 5I with 1E, 11B and 20E. 8. Hook up the switch to 5H and 11E. 9. Then connect the positive LED LED to 20A and negative to 15A. Okay, so number 10. Lastly, clip the black LED off the multimeter, which is to detect the voltage, onto the capacitor LED in socket 11H and the red LED of the multimeter onto the capacitor LED, which is socket 11E. Okay. Okay, number 11. With the switch turned off, tap the physio element till the capacitor is charged to at least 8 volts. Okay, so the tap here represents the traffic load, or as simply as can say, when people, or other example, when people walk, that causes the vibration into the physio sensor. Okay. Number 12. Once the capacitor has enough charge, flip the switch and observe the duration light of LED. Then record the tap and duration of LED itself. Okay. Lastly, the experiment was repeated with different repetition of tap and different number of volts. Okay, as you can see here, this is the setup that it should be looking lah. So we have the multimeter that detects the voltage, the LED, the switch that activates the LED, the sensor on your bottom right. Okay, it should be tapped to produce voltage current and the breadboard itself. Okay. Okay, so for the results and analysis. Okay, for the table, I have sorted all the information regarding the experiment that represents our mini project. So for the tab, it increasing slowly and also does the voltage. So therefore here, the manipulating variable is the tab of the piezoelectric sensor itself, and thus making the voltage even higher. So therefore, and the responding of this does make the duration of LED lights even longer. As you can see here, as the voltage increases, so does the duration of LED. Therefore, we can conclude that as the voltage increases, so does the duration of LED light. So here for the graph, it shows a direct proportional increases between voltage and duration light in seconds. Okay.
Now we get into the discussion. Based on the experiment that had been done on piezoelectric, we can see that the manipulated variable, which is the stress supply, in conjunction to the experiment, which is the stress is the amount of step that will directly influence the response variable. And in this experiment, the response variable is the duration of the LED light. As the number of the stress increase, which is the number of steps, the duration of the LED light will lit up longer. We can see here is the diagram for the circuit for the experiment that had been done. From the diagram, we can see there is a capacitor. The capacitor will be acting as a storage for the electrical energy that is generated by the piezoelectric element, and it will accumulate the electrical energy for later usage. Piezoelectricity is the electric charge that accumulates in a certain solid material, while piezoelectric effect is the capacity of some materials to create an electric charge in response to mechanical stress. The piezoelectric effect is reversible, which means that the material that show direct piezoelectric effect, which is the creation of electricity when stress is applied, and exhibit the inverse piezoelectric, which is the generation of stress when an electric field is applied. When a piezoelectric material is subjected to mechanical stress, the positive and the negative charge centers in the material change, which results in the external electrical field. When the outside electrical field is reversed, it either stretches or compresses the piezoelectric material. The piezoelectric effect is particularly beneficial in various applications, such as sound creation and detection, high voltage generation, electronic frequency generation, microbalance, and ultrafine focusing of optical assembles. In particular cases, which is this experiment, we use the piezoelectric effect to make electrical output and causes the LED to light up.
As a result, it shows that the usage of piezoelectric indeed is one new source for generating electricity. It also a process of generating electricity which it does not depend on exhausted material such as petroleum, coal, and other mineral sources. Based on the experiment conducted above, it has been shown that electricity can be generated from pressure and or vibration, in which in this experiment pressure put by the finger on the piezo element without the need of other source such as batteries. However, there is a limitation in our experiment as it has been done in a small scale and not in the real-life scale. In addition, we are also unable to assess whether the energy produced by piezoelectric method is sufficient to light up street light. Nevertheless, we admit that piezoelectric is one of a new source that can help in producing electricity. However, we can find a way to double the amount of electricity that being produced by piezoelectric, such as by adding transistor. All in all, the objective of this paper has been accomplished. Thank you.